Hey guys, how's it going? Today we'll be looking at Hazel and her specialty, Mascot Hazel. One of the characters that has the most nastiest personality in game. But she's a free unit that you can get through connections. She can debuff, heal, and buff your allies. A perfect fitting for a support character. Like Aether, Hazel scales both on her attack and target max health. That's completely okay, but the best healing scale is based on own max health, which a lot of the 4 and 5-star characters have. This way you can build them as tank since they need a lot of health to have higher heals. In Hazel's case, because of her scaling, she has a lot more versatility compared to other Soul Weaver units. First off, let's have a look at her skills and see what she's all about. Hazel's first skill, Book of Fire, deals damage and has a 30% chance to trigger unhealable debuff for 2 turns. This prevents them from receiving any kind of healing. Great to have, especially in golem hunts, so you can ignore that stupid tree and blitzkrieg the run. With skill enhance, you can increase this chance to 50%. Her second skill, Urgent Regen, heals the target based on her own attack and target max health. If the target's health is below 50%, healing effects from this skill is increased by 50%. With a 2-turn cooldown, this is very useful and powerful skill. This will be your go-to healing skill. Her third skill, Attack Command, heals all allies and is also based on her attack and target max health. She also buffs the attack of your entire team for 1 turn. When you enhance her 3 times, this becomes 2 turns. Using 10 soul burn on this skill extends the buff for an additional turn. That makes it a 3-turn buff uptime. This also gives her a downtime buff of only 1 turn. When she goes through her specialty, this skill changes to a girl in uniform. In addition to the old skill, when she targets a fire type unit, they will gain greater attack buff for 1 turn. This buff is pretty self-explanatory. She can also target herself to get the greater attack buff. Keep in mind on how you use this skill. If you target a non-fire unit, you'll be wasting that massive buff. If you double click on the skill, it will try to find a fire type unit that has the highest attack, including herself. For skill awakening, it really depends on what you want to do with her. Molagoras are a scarce resource, so you want to be very careful on where to use it. One thing for sure is that you want to get her reduced cooldown on her third skill. If you plan to use her specifically for golem runs up to stage 11, it's good to invest on her first skill up to +3, which gives her 50% chance to trigger unhealable debuff. This is very important when running in auto since your team will be focusing on golem and you want to deny all healing from the tree. If she's your main healer, investing on her second skill is very good due to its low cooldown. Keep in mind that this is a single target healing skill and it generally has lower healing rate compared to other healing scaled skills. Looking through her skill tree, I can say that most of them are actually good, and this makes it difficult to make a linear rune tree for Hazel. These 3 runes here are stat runes, pretty universal and you can get them regardless of your use of Hazel. If you're planning to use her in golem runs, these 2 runes are a top priority. For mono fire teams, these runes benefits that playstyle. When using as a main healer, invest on these runes instead. Health rune increases her health by 20% max. Both speed and sun runes increases her speed by a total of 10. They are low priority and should max out later. For example, if I wanted to build her mainly for golem runs, I need to prioritize these 2 runes. Language rune increases the effect chance of unhealable on her first skill by up to 25%. That's a max total of 75% effect chance. I would invest 2 points on this and 1 point on health rune. After unlocking the next column, invest 1 point in speed rune, max language rune, and 1 point in harvest rune. Harvest Rune further increases the healing effects of Urgent Regen by 50%. although this only takes effect when healing a target below 50% health. So that's a total of 100% healing effect. After this, max out Mercy Rune, which increases effectiveness of all fire units by up to 10%. You will need this extra effectiveness for her first skill, since the golem has a pretty high effect resistance. Now from here on, max out Harvest Rune and max out the stat runes. Rune building will be slightly different if you are using her for a mono fire team. The same as the previous one, but after you max out Mercy Rune, you can max out Fruition Rune, which increases attack of fire units by up to 10%. After that, you can max out this line. Achievement Rune increases her combat readiness by up to 10% when using her second skill on a fire unit, while Guard Rune grants continuous healing for 2 turns with a 20% chance on the target hero when using her third skill. Be sure not to target a non-fire unit. After this, you can max out the stat runes. If you want to use her as one of your main healers, I suggest maxing out the second row and then max the stat runes. Now there is one rune I haven't talked about, and that is Courage Rune, which I personally find very lacking. It recovers health by up to 5% of the damage dealt by her first skill. First off, the healing is going to be low unless you build her with attack set or have good attack percentages on her kit. This only benefits her, which means you can save urgent regen on your other allies. But this is something that you'll pick if you have a really good gear or if you have another strong healer in your team. That way you can build Hazel as a DPS healer. For gears, due to her scaling and versatility, if you want to maximize the use of her scaling, attack and effectiveness set is good on her, because her healing scales on both attack and target max health. Low health units such as your DPS will get less healing compared to tanky units. Having high attack solves this problem. Effectiveness improves the hit chance of your debuff if you're running Golem. Speed health is a more popular build. Less healing compared to attack set, but not a big problem since she will get more turns. With this, she can spam her second skill, keep buffs up from her third skill, and also gives her more runs to trigger debuff on the enemy. Substats for Hazel can be a combination of health percentage, effectiveness, attack percentage, and defense percentage. Make sure that you have around 50 to 60% total effectiveness if running on Golem. A main stat of speed on boots is best, but if not, either health percentage or attack percentage is good enough. Full 5-star artifacts, either Rod of Amaryllis or Shimadra's Staff, are very good for Hazel, since they further increase her heals. Rod of Amaryllis heals an ally with the lowest health by 12%, up to 24% max when using a non-attack skill. Both Hazel's second and third skill are non-attack skills, with a huge plus on her second skill since it only has 2-turn cooldown. Furthermore, if there is a case where you have 2 low health allies, you can use Urgent Heal on one and the artifact will heal the other. Shimadra's Staff increases all healing effects received by an ally by 20% up to 40% max. This skill has a global effect similar to Sash, which means the entire team benefits from this effect. Yup. If your team is lifesteal heavy, healing effects from that is also increased. For 4-star artifact, they are all good for Hazel, picking which one is best depends on the stage. If you prefer a tanky Hazel, use Water's Origin, which recovers health by 8% and increase combat readiness by 10% when damage exceeds 20% of her max health. Wondrous Potion Vial for heavy debuff stages. Magahara's Tome is your go-to artifact, which increases her combat readiness by 15% up to 30% when using a skill that does not attack enemies. As you all already know, Hazel has 2 skills that can trigger this effect. Very good if you're not building her with speed set. For 3-star artifact, either go for Goblin's Lamp for more heals or Labyrinth Cube for more combat readiness. However, only use Goblin's Lamp as the last resort since it's only good in stages with lots of battles. If not, Labyrinth Cube is your go-to 3-star artifact. Hazel is best used on stages that requires denying enemy of healing effects, but is still good as an all-rounder healer when invested. Keep in mind that her healing relies on the amount of attack she has and the max health of your other allies. Great for golden runs and becomes even more important in stage 11, since the boss's skills restricts players from using ice-based units, locking down strong supports such as Diane and Angelica. Her third skill, along with extra effects from her skill tree, makes any fire team very strong in her hands. In terms of PvP, when equipped with Speed Set, she can lock down priority targets from receiving healing effects, so your other allies can take them down quickly. Good for very offensive teams. That's the end of Hazel guide. I hope this gives you enough information to build her to your taste. If there are some stuff I'm missing, let me know in the comments below, and I'll see you in the next video. Rover out.